padding. We're going to pad round the Cutanova Hydro, and then we're going to apply some Vetlite splinting material, which is heat sensitive splinting material. I've cut this to the length and I've taken off the edges along the sharp bits along here, because they'll be at the upper and lower parts of the splint, and I'm going to put that in some hot water. So that's the next step, is to put that in some hot water, and while that is heating up and going soft, we're going to put a light or a thin layer just a couple of times round of SoftBand. I'm just rolling this on. I'm not okay, so that can go there. Now I still need to be able to now use my judgment underneath this splint as to what's going on, as to how I set the leg. So the next step is the tricky one. So we're going to take this now hot splinting material, and we want to secure that so that it is, the lower end is above the foot, and I'm just going to join some of it there, and then I'll join some of it up here maybe, and then I have to bend the leg where it's supposed to be bent and set this now, and now I have to line it up like this and put the pressure as I was doing initially to make sure the leg sets in a straight position. And I'm also doing a little bit more bending here. So this is the tricky first step. This is where judgment and experience comes into play so much. So I have to wait for this splint to go quite rigid, and I'm also trying to make sure that I don't have pressure areas and that we've got a little bit of movement, but not much movement. I'm keeping a fair bit of pressure sideways here so that the leg sits straight. Right, the cast is cooling now. We've left room for this toe to come down and back. And we've now got to that stage. I think for a bird this size I'm probably going to need to put another layer on, so we'll do that. We'll just thicken this up a little bit, give it a bit of reinforcement where I think it needs it. But looking at the leg now and comparing the other leg, if we put a similar bend in the other leg, there's a little bit of deviation here, but not nearly as much as there was before. I don't know if I can get that across any more than that. We might be able to. Just a fraction. Anyway, it's much better than what it was before. It's before the cast really sets. Okay, I'm just going to make a little bit more work with this one. Right, that should do that. Happy with that?
Looking good.
And then the next step is to just put some wrap around, some what we call vet wrap, or we could use Coban. You don't need strips more than, don't need very wide strips, so this is okay for this purpose.
That's about how many centimetres wide?
Max 2 to 3, but and then we can go up the leg a little bit, and then we can, well, that can just be rolled down. It's all right. All good. Handy stuff, but sticks to itself very well. It's not critical. And in this particular bird, it's not going to chew it off. You don't need a decoy. Alright, press it onto itself, squeeze it onto itself, and apart from a painkiller injection, we're just about done. Now Pat, your job will be to make sure that this toe is staying in the open position. It's been taped in the open position for a few days, so hopefully it will now stay open. Your job is to make sure that the swelling that is quite obvious in this foot is not getting more, it's getting less, and that the foot is staying warm, that it's not going cold. And we hope that, and we know that this little birdie is growing fairly rapidly, so we should be checking this splint in a week's time and then again in another week's time. So far so good.
Okay, good. So I've got to watch to see that the foot
That he's walking properly on his foot like that.
Yeah.
When he does put his foot down,
And
that he's not putting his toe forward like that all the time. He's already got some a small little